Hello, and welcome to This Song Sucks, a podcast where three musicians come together and talk about the songs we hate. I'm Josh Kavanaugh, and with me I have Hayden, the Goo Also Rises Crawford. How's it going, Hayden?
It's going well. It's a sunny day in Seattle.
And also joining us is Adam Cinnamon Toast Crunch Morrow. How's it going, buddy?
I was doing pretty good until I thought about eating cereal, and now I'm just sad. I'm an adult. I don't eat cereal regularly.
Why not?
I could change that, I guess, because also I'm an adult.
When was the last time you had Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Because I've had it recently.
We used to buy it fairly regularly. We'd flip out between that and Oops All Berries.
It is a horrifying concoction.
It is. It's a lot of sugar, a lot of cinnamon, but damn, it's good. Drinking the milk when it's over, whew.
Oh man, it'll eat and drink pretty good, that's sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're here talking today about Are You Jimmy Ray by Jimmy Ray. And
who wants to know?
Yeah, who wants to know? We were discussing earlier a little bit that when this song comes to us from Hayden, and when he told me about it, I'm thinking, I don't remember what the hell you're talking about at all. And then listened to it, and it all came flooding back in a rush of mid-'90s brain damage. So why, Hayden, did you bring this song to us?
Because I have mental problems.
That's a pretty simple answer.
I don't know. And it's odd that you say that because everyone that I've brought this idea up to, I think you're the only person who actually remembered the song, which led me to further suspect that I have mental issues.
Just barely, though. I mean, Adam, you said you didn't recall this at all, right?
I don't. I certainly recall like the production style, and I didn't look at all at any information, and I guess that it was British from some point between 1995 and 98 or 99. And so like I had that figured out, but I don't remember this particular song. I remember this brand of song for sure.
Well, you were exactly right. As we'll get into here, the song actually came out in 1997 as a single. But before we get into the song, we're going to talk a little bit about Jimmy Ray. Who is he, and who wants to know? Born James Edwards in the United Kingdom in 1970, which is actually questionable because in one of the interviews I watched, this is like 97, 98, he says he's 22. And so either the internet is wrong, or he just flat out lied to Rosie O'Donnell. So,
22 forever.
He's on Rosie O'Donnell?
Yes. We'll talk a little bit about that, but there's a great video.
Let's talk a lot about that.
If you haven't, either of y'all watched that video?
No.
Oh man,
no.
There's so much goodness. So there's really not a whole lot about this guy as you might imagine. I mean, it's not a one-hit wonder that's in the collective consciousness of everyone. So there's just nothing. There's not a lot about this guy.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, using the ever wonderful source allmusic.com, it claimed that he had prior to this Jimmy Ray thing, that he had a solo career as part of a techno-pop duo called AV, or Alternate Vision.
Wait. This is not already a solo career?
He had a solo career as part of a techno-pop
duo.
A duo.
And doing a brief Google search for Alternative Vision came up with a lot of stuff, none of which I think is our James Edwards. Could find no evidence of this other than Wikipedia and AllMusic. However, there was a album on Spotify from 2005 called Per Astra Ad Astra, which seems to be techno-pop and has someone singing on it that sounds suspiciously like this Jimmy Ray character.
Let me tell you, I just got through listening to that track, and it is something else.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things with Mr. Edwards. It's not good. But allmusic.com also, it cites these influences. So, given the look of him in the video, some obvious things like Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, Tommy Steele, these sort of 50s icons of quote-unquote American rock music. But it also includes Beck and Sha Na Na. And do either of y'all know what Sha Na Na is?
No.
Never heard of it?
No, what a shot on that.
Who wants to know?
I feel like I should know this.
They became famous because they opened for Hendrix in Woodstock in '69, but probably they're more well known because there was a long-running TV show with this group. So it was kind of like a variety act more than really a band, and it's just like the worst stereotypical greaser American 50s kind of vibe to it. So again, that sort of makes sense given what this dweeb looks like in the music video.
I don't know why you're talking so negatively about him. I think the rockabillys are cool.
Rockabilly's fine, but this is sort of...
Is it? Are we going to give rockabilly a pass this early in the show's existence?
It depends, because
I don't know that we should.
Nothing to me is cooler than a bunch of men greasing their hair back and talking about cars and women at diners. It is so cool.
Don't you besmirch people like Guy Fieri, okay?
No. I was going to say Guy Fieri is not a rockabilly man. This is a hill I will die on.
So you guys are also musicians. Have you guys ever played a rockabilly festival? Speaking from experience, having done that twice. Have you ever
Tell me
had the pleasure?
about playing a rockabilly festival with the Colonel.
We don't have nearly enough time to talk about that.
But I mean, I feel that Jimmy Ray is probably rockabilly in the same way that Guy Fieri is rockabilly, and that he's
Don't
not.
pronounce his name correctly. Let's get one thing straight.
Guy Fieri.
Oh man, it's interesting though, the rockabilly thing. Like, I don't know if we're going to get into the lyrics or not, but like the fact that he name checks Link Ray,
Yes,
gives like a weird gravity to the song. Like, it's also cool for indie artists to name check Link Ray, and I was not expecting that when I did a deep dive on the old lyrics.
Well, we can get more into that as we go on. But I think the point is that this guy's kind of, it doesn't seem genuine to me anyway. He just has this sort of pompadour greaseback look.
really, it's not genuine to you? Wow.
Well, again, we'll continue.
I mean, because good God, I'm a believer.
Well, we'll continue with this source. But under the AllMusic website, similar to is the Spice Girls, and it makes sense because the Jimmy Ray's manager was the same people who managed the Spice Girls. The guy named Simon Fuller, who also would go on to become an executive producer on American Idol.
Oh, so hang on. Simon managed this guy?
Not Simon, the mean guy host. Simon Fuller is a different guy, but he managed the
lame.
Spice Girls, and he would later go on to be a producer for American Idol, which probably meant he was a producer for Pop Idol, which was the English version before it got exported.
I can definitely hear some similarities between Spice Girls and this track production-wise.
Yes, if you go and listen to there's the last song on his self-titled debut album, Jimmy Ray, is basically you could take his vocals out and put 5 girls singing on it, and it would be a Spice Girls song, 100%.
And it would be just so much better.
Probably so.
Astronomically better.
Yeah.
And
Hotter.
At least the Spice Girls are like hot girls singing very melodic, hooky songs, and this is just
Drivel.
Yeah. Well, one last thing from AllMusic. The biography says Jimmy Ray, quote, fuses a neo-rockabilly image with contemporary dance pop rhythms.
What the hell does neo-rockabilly mean?
That's your guess is as good as mine.
I feel like this era of like, let's take 2 disparate genres and fuse them together because it'll be a great idea, just for the hell of it. Like, that is the 90s and early 2000s. There's a lot of missteps.
There's a lot of weirdness in that particular era for sure. So, getting into his quote-unquote solo career, starting with Are You Jimmy Ray, the subject of today's podcast, it was released in 1997. Just some stats. It peaked at 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. So, top 20 song, but it was never a number one, and it didn't have, it didn't. I didn't find how many weeks it was on there, but it probably not for long, given the pop landscape of the time. He also charted at 13 in the UK singles chart, and the record itself was certified gold. So he sold enough. I mean, this is probably toward the end of the era of people actually buying CDs. Right?
That's true. This is the era of like $20 CDs. This dude probably made a pretty penny.
Well, we'll get into that. But I mean, he probably did okay, but he probably didn't do as well as he could have.
If you'd read your homework, Adam, you would know.
I thought I was supposed to be the ignorant guy.
Oh, yeah.
Just like in actual school, Morrow is not doing his homework.
Yeah, there's some clear group work dynamics going on already in this podcast.
So a year after the single came out, the self-titled album Jimmy Ray was released. The album itself peaked at 112 on the Billboard 200, so right smack dab in the middle. I think probably by that time the success of the single had probably dropped off. He also hit number 2 on Billboard's Top Heat Seekers album, which I have never heard of before. Have you ever heard of Top Heat Seeker albums?
No.
No, it just sounds like some bullshit so that somebody in the business can payola somebody to get a number 1, right?
That sounds probably pretty accurate. And so I listened to the whole record through, or at least browse it, because some of it is truly unlistenable. But like the song Are You Jimmy Ray, everything starts out with some sort of vague reference to 1950s music, and then just goes into some stupid dance pop song. Some sort of Chuck Berry-ish guitar riff, and then the 4 on the floor bass drum comes in with a synth bass, and it's just downhill from there. Truly nothing listenable at all. So after the success of that single, his next one, Going to Vegas, came out. It peaked at 47 on the UK singles chart and didn't chart in the United States at all. A music video was made but was never released in the US.
Ouch.
And it's a pretty bad music video. He's like, it's kind of like they took the set from Dusk Till Dawn and just remade the Are You Jimmy Ray video inside of that instead of in front of a trailer.
Well, it's not like they hit a giant home run with the first one. So
no, and it is orders of magnitude worse. It's
then Are You Jimmy Ray?
Oh yes. I mean, go listen to it.
How? I'm talking about video quality in terms of like the directing of the music video.
Well, the video quality, I only watched it once, so not as nearly as much as the Are You Jimmy Ray video, so I may not be as able to comment on that, but the music is just truly god-awful.
How many times did you watch the video?
Of Are You Jimmy Ray?
Yeah.
At least, I'd say somewhere between 10 and 15 times.
Yeah, too many times. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, my brain is
I don't know why.
Completely damaged. And the unfortunate thing is it is a catchy song and kind of gets stuck in your head, but it's just... Well, yeah, there's your 50s reference from that song. We'll talk more about that specific thing later, too. So, anyway, an interesting fact is in the summer of 98, Mr. Edwards toured with the Backstreet Boys.
Wait.
Yes. So I'm assuming that means he opened for them.
Well, on an entire tour or just like certain dates?
It just said the summer of 98, so probably,
the summer of 98.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking about, the Backstreet Boys were very popular when we were in middle school, and I knew girls that we went to school with who saw them live, so there's a good chance we know people who've seen Jimmy Ray live and in person. Man. And it's pretty hilarious to think about a 13-year-old girl watching that guy get up on stage and be like, who the fuck is this guy?
This is a major development.
So, following up on the success of the tour, in the fall of 98, he released his last single from the record, I Got Rolled.
Oh, yeah. A true classic.
It failed to chart at all, and it received minimal to no airplay in the United States. And honestly, it's probably a better constructed song overall, but the thing that stands out to me is the high-pitched sort of hip-hop squeal from the song Jump Around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I distinctly know what you're talking about.
For some reason, that's in this song. And it just...
Okay. Leave the sound effects to me, Josh.
Probably a good idea. So that's basically it for the run of his popularity. In the interim between that and his next record, which was released in 2017, information I found said that he reemerged as a member of the quote-unquote song production team called the Air Players. So, Adam, what would you think is the definition of a song production team?
I mean, are they writing the songs? I mean, what's going on with a song production team? Or is it like a boardroom discussion about what a song should be?
That sounds like something that could be correct. What I did find,
because to the whole boardroom thing, like they just always think about like that's the only way that you could come up with some of the fusions that are happening here and like some of the decisions that are made. Like, oh, we'll use this guy to get some exposure, some brand exposure into this weird niche thing. And that's got to be what they're like. They make that decision and then they write the songs, and that's what the song production team would be. What do you got? Mean, I feel like you're asking me a question you know the answer to.
Well, I actually really don't, because the only thing I could find about the Air Players was their LinkedIn page.
Man, why so much LinkedIn?
There's a lot of LinkedIn
Jimmy Ray. Yeah,
regarding Jimmy Ray.
Jesus.
Well, that's how I found Jimmy Ray's LinkedIn page, was via the Air Players LinkedIn page. The company's called Air Players Music. Their bio claims to be credited on multiple UK and US top 40 hits, but give no examples. So my assumption is that they're just using that as using "Are you Jimmy Ray" to say that.
That's what my LinkedIn page says too.
You guys, when we agreed to start this podcast, I did not expect us to say the word LinkedIn this many times.
No.
So, from what I can tell, this company seems to be a songwriting shop. So here's some quotes from the LinkedIn page. Need a song? The Air Players team can write bespoke songs to order in any musical style. Just contact us with your specific requirements and we'll do the rest. Have lyrics, melody, and need a backing track, or vice versa? Air Players are happy to negotiate co-writes.
Do you have rates? Do they post rates on this?
What I will say is that their business.
You got to ask Hayden.
Their business seems to be going well because they have 21 LinkedIn connections.
Ooh.
And I don't use LinkedIn, so I'm guessing connections is kind of like the friend analog.
Yeah, spreading like a wildfire.
So they clearly are doing and did very, very well. So
I hate to break this to you, Josh, but 21 is not a lot of connections.
It's more than I have in the music business, probably.
That's not what connection means on LinkedIn, okay? You didn't do your LinkedIn research, obviously.
Shit. Well, maybe next time. So that's in 2009 is when the source I found said that started. 6 years later, he announced on his official fan page that he was working on material for a comeback album. And in 2017, he delivered with Live to Fight Another Day.
Did he?
Oh, he's alive.
I guess technically he did.
I mean, it's not much of an accomplishment, really. He's not that old, but he did survive.
Well, we don't know how old he is. Is he 50? Is he 43?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who wants
is he a higher vampire? I don't know.
Who wants to know? A quote from the source said, it was released in the United Kingdom, and then this is my favorite part, it's unknown how or if the album ever charted at all.
Unknown?
How is that not known?
That's a pretty sneaky way of getting around that.
I think that means that it's definitely not charted in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, Loggerhead could have put out a top 10 Billboard hit.
Don't bring Loggerhead. Don't bring Loggerhead into this.
It's tough to say, isn't it?
And so another quote from the source says, these days, it appears if Jimmy Ray is still active with his music career. And
appears?
Is Donald Trump's PR team right about this guy?
Yeah. It's just, there's like not any data on what this guy is doing with his life.
Probably because he hasn't done anything.
And
sorry, Hayden, did you tour the Backstreet Boys in the late 90s?
I'm sorry?
No, you didn't. You didn't.
No, I didn't.
He did something.
He did. I gotta tell you guys, this whole time I've had a picture of Jimmy Ray pulled up on my extra monitor, and I've been staring into his eyes, and it's starting to get to me.
Those dreamy, sucking back eyes.
He's sitting in this nice teal green diner.
So, That's kind of what I found on this guy. Hayden, you said you mentioned that he released an album this year, like a week ago.
Actually, yeah, on December 5th, he released a single here. Not to get too far into this, but for some reason he thought it necessary to not only to release this one song, but 5 different versions of this one song, all on the single. We have an instrumental version, the regular track, a stripped version, whatever that means, and a Big Wigs We Choose the Moon mix. All of the same song, which is supported by a whopping 2 people on Bandcamp so far. Which I now have accomplished better than that, so that's not looking good for Mr. Edwards.
Well, speaking of social media numbers, here's some more things I found. So, his Twitter. Adam, what would you guess are the number of followers this guy has on Twitter?
Oh, good question.
Well, if I feel like different artists specialize in different mediums, he seems like a Facebook or an Instagram guy. I don't think he really would be a good Twitter guy. So, I mean, charitably, 1,200 people.
Well, that is very charitable. Hayden, what do you think?
We're talking Twitter followers. I'm going to go 38.
Okay, so we're painting the corners on this one. Adam, you are correct. He does have more followers on Facebook, but he has 268 Twitter followers. And
that was closer.
And the thing that makes it even sadder is that he is following 269 people.
Oh,
so, wink.
He ratioed himself.
Yeah. So Facebook, he's got 893 followers on his fan page. And, of course, on LinkedIn, he has 254 connections.
So he's doing better than his songwriter.
He's doing a lot better than the Air Players, that's for sure.
Yeah.
800 Facebook friends is pretty sad for a person who claims to be what he is.
It is fairly depressing. Another fun social media tidbit about this guy, on languages listed on LinkedIn, he has Spanish.
See.
So
Muy sí.
Clearly, he's been spending a lot of time working up on his. He's a polyglot, I guess is what you would say.
He struck me as that when I watched his video. Hayden, I wonder. You said he just put this record out.
Yeah.
The Christmas charts in the UK are still like a huge deal. Like who has the number 1 song at Christmas?
Okay.
It's kind of a thing. I wonder if he somehow in the back of his mind was like, I know what's going to happen. This is the year, 2020. I'm going to put this record out, or this single out on December 5th. This shit's going to climb for 3 weeks. Come Christmas Day, I'll be number 1.
And you know what? If the song itself doesn't get number 1, then surely one of these other mixes will that I included with it.
You gotta load the deck and just throw it all out there and see what happens. What was the mix of moon? What was the last one?
Okay, I'm going to read the full title here along with the track length because it varies wildly from the other ones. Per aspera ad astra, Big Wigs We Choose the Moon mix clocking in at 9 minutes and 16 seconds.
There you go, the club mix.
The club mix.
That's the techno pop, right? The ad astra thing?
Yes.
God.
So is he re-releasing? Because that was an earlier release, right?
Well, I hate to get... Well, I guess we're doing this now. We're doing this. I also noticed that he launched his own record label.
I saw that too.
For the purpose of doing this. I don't think that I haven't dove too deeply into this, but I don't think anybody else is on the record label, which is really odd.
A vanity project, yeah.
Isn't it called like Rockefeller Records or something like that?
Yeah, it's called La Rocca Records.
Well, there's the polyglot influence. So he created for that 2016 record that has the remake of Jenny Ray on it. He created this record label in order to release that record, to my understanding here. But even he on this website lists it as a comeback record, but he put comeback in quotation marks on his own website. What do you think he means by that? Like, he doesn't think he needs to come back, but if the outside observer does...
Hey, man, you can't make this shit up.
So, I think that's enough about Sir James Edwards. So let's each of us talk about our least favorite thing about this song itself. Hayden, why don't you go first?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, my least favorite thing about the song is Jimmy Ray. I don't understand who he's supposed to be. He's like got this greaser rockabilly pedophile look. I don't quite understand what's going. It's like a rockabilly Michael Jackson. And what is with the belt buckle? Like, what I want the LinkedIn article to be about is the belt buckle.
Where that belt buckle came from?
Yeah, like what is he? I don't understand the persona that he is trying to do here. It's so confused.
Yeah, we're in the audio medium here, so if someone's listening to this and has not seen the video, this guy's belt buckle is probably the size of his pelvis.
Yeah, he's a very thin individual, very thin, tall, and lanky, with a belt buckle the size of like a dinner platter.
A rockabilly physique, if you will.
Does it have anything written on it? I'm trying to remember here.
I don't know. How deep are we going into this?
As deep as you want to. If the belt buckle is the thing you got the biggest problem with.
I mean, the belt buckle bothers me tremendously. I won't lie. Also, the other thing that bothered me about it is, like, I didn't do any research on where the video was produced, but for some reason I'm assuming it's Miami, and I can't explain why.
Well, it's got palm trees. I've got there doesn't seem to be anything specific about this belt buckle. It's kind of got some sort of insignia in the middle with two large lines on either end of it.
Please tell me it has a JR on it somewhere.
It's this is an old video and it's a still shot from YouTube. It's tough to tell. I'd have to kind of go through frame by frame to try to see this. But I'm sure it has little to no meaning. It's just the producer said, "Hey, let's get this guy a really huge fucking belt buckle."
That's what is missing.
We have the budget. It's the 90s. Commission a belt buckle.
He sent out a team scouring the depths of the Miami thrift stores to find that belt buckle.
It's just stuck on Miami now.
Yeah, in my mind, it's in Miami. You're never going to change that.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably try to figure that out. There's lots of tall buildings and palm trees, so Miami.
Sure, why not?
So Morrow, what is your least favorite thing about this song?
I can't get away from the lyrics. I mean, like I don't mind a simple anthemic pop song, but here's two things I don't like thematically. We can carry this forward into other episodes. People asking me to do certain things. Everybody jump back, turn around now, let's do it again. No. Just no thanks. I can't take that. I can't stomach it. Very few songs that I enjoy list a bunch of names as well, which is the next thing that happens in the lyrics. Lou Bega pretty much has the final word on that. Well, no, that's a contemporary song with just masterfully list out women's names. And this one, the call and response of "Are you Johnny Ray? Are you Slim Ray? Are you Faye Ray?" I can't take it.
Who is Slim Ray? Does anybody know?
Slim. You don't know Slim?
Is he Slim Ray? He's got his slim boot cut jeans on.
Hey, you have met all of these people at one of those
rockabilly things, yeah.
Rockabilly festivals.
He sort of briefly mentions this in the so there is a LinkedIn article that Jimmy Ray wrote himself describing the writing and recording of the song that we can talk a little bit about as we go. But Faye Ray, Johnny Ray, Sting Ray, Link Ray, etc. So he says the names speak for themselves. Retro heroes and heroines who symbolize my own cultural interests from music, film, and motoring. Ha.
God, shut the fuck up, Jimmy Ray.
So Faye Ray, I think, is the actress from the original King Kong.
Okay.
Interesting.
Link Ray, as you mentioned before, is an often quoted person. Sting Ray, I guess, is just the animal.
At first I thought it was a wrestler, and then I realized it wasn't. That's just Sting. So I don't know.
Maybe he did mean the wrestler, and he was like, "It doesn't fit. I'll just add Ray."
Any other lyrical highlights?
Oh, you know what he means? He means the car. I bet he means the classic car.
That's not a bad idea. You're bringing logic into this, and I don't think there's any of that in these lyrics.
My apologies.
So, Another thing this article mentions regarding the lyrics is apparently he was pretty happy with the lyric about something in his genes that he needs to release.
Yeah,
Wink.
And he's talking about his genetic genes, but obviously the double entendre is just so rich and perfect.
I couldn't imagine hearing this song on the radio for the first time and that line going by. Not that it's like the most shocking thing that would have been on the radio at the time, but like, what's this guy up to? What's his angle?
To get laid, duh.
I mean, yeah. Hayden, not to like go off the rails here, do you remember hearing this often on the radio?
Absolutely, but I was such a child of pop radio. I mean, I was staying up listening to Casey Kasem's countdown, year-end countdowns.
Sure.
I mean, I was all about music videos and like these major pop hits. So I probably saw this video live, I mean, countless times. That's why I remembered it so strongly for this. So yeah, I was definitely heavily familiar with it at the time, unfortunately.
Interesting. I think that you had some sort of like Bernstein Bears situation going on, where in that reality, this was a huge song.
So my biggest problem with the song it's sort of one and a half things.
Nobody asked you, Josh.
I'm not well liked, so. But it has to do with the video, and specifically it's the guitar and the guitar case that he has. At the very beginning of the video, you see a shot of Jimmy Ray walking over the bridge, and he's holding the iconic Gibson case, the sort of light.
The iconic Miami Bridge.
Yeah. But it's
You know the one.
but it's the light brown color with the sort of gold and black Gibson USA on the sort of the outer rim of it. And if you
Sure.
look really closely, it took probably 7 or 8 viewings of the video before I noticed it. But they very crudely slapped on some stickers that said JR to cover up the Gibson logo on it. I mean, I'm talking
Nice.
they clearly just drove to Lowe's, bought the mailbox lettering stickers,
That's real rockabilly,
and
man.
just put JR on top of it.
You mean Johnny Rockets?
That's legal calling that morning and saying, hey, Gibson's not on board.
Yeah.
Someone go to Lowe's.
This is before Gibson started producing the Jimmy Ray signature guitar.
I thought it was said for Johnny Rockets. I mean, if Jimmy Ray himself would enjoy a Johnny Rockets trip, it would seem.
You're probably right.
Surely that was a business partnership that happened, right?
I would have loved to have seen that commercial.
What kind of burger did Jimmy Ray get at a Johnny Rockets, you guys?
I mean, he's from England, so the stereotype is it's all bland, so probably just cheese and meat, maybe some ketchup.
You think he orders a hamburger? You think he says that? Like, I'll have a hamburger, please.
And a shake.
I hate myself.
He orders a shake and then shimmies his hips.
Yeah.
He could use a couple of shakes, honestly, if we're looking at him closely here.
Yeah, he definitely has the sort of gaunt heroin chic look that was popular
very
at the
heroin-y.
time, other than his clothes. But the guitar itself is a beautiful ES-295, which I looked it up. It seems to be an exact replica of Scotty Moore's guitar, and Scotty Moore was the touring guitarist and recording guitarist for Elvis. So it's a very clear, like, him putting himself in this position of, like, I'm an Elvis type. I've got the Elvis guitar. But it sort of pisses me off mostly because this goes into my next point. I'm pretty sure he can't play it.
What makes you so sure of that?
So, I mean, the progression's pretty simple. It's just C, B flat, and F, B flat over and over again. And they do a good job of hiding it in the actual music video, but if you go look at the Rosie O'Donnell appearance, he's playing a different guitar.
Back to Rosie.
And he makes no attempt.
Wait. He performs on Rosie O'Donnell also?
He performs live, and even better, it's kind of off the subject, but he has like a DJs in the background doing like error scratches for the song.
What did I tell you about the sound effects, Josh?
Sorry, but the song starts off with just bare guitar doing that sort of funky riff, and it's clearly not him. And the first change is from C to B flat. he makes no attempt to make it look like his fingers are playing the chord.
That's awesome.
He can't be bothered by that.
Who can be really in this day and age? Who can be bothered by a B flat?
It's pretty tricky. I mean, that's another thing that bugs me about this, like the actual content of the song, is it's that progression. You know, it's sort of the a gussied up version of the classic 1/4 over and over again jam band kind of chord progression, right? So it's good for this sort of cyclical, put a catchy hook, repeated thing over it, but it just goes on forever and ever and has no beginning or end.
Are we still allowed to say gussied up?
I don't know. But it fades out in the recording, which is a cop-out. I've never been a big fan of that unless there's like a good reason to.
You don't like a fade?
I love a fade.
I like a fade in a very specific context, and this is...
You got a problem with the Beatles?
Yeah.
I mean, the Beatles can get away with a lot because there's a little more depth in their music than Johnny Ray.
Speaking of the Beatles,
oh yes,
I hate
good segue
to move this train down the tracks here, but are we going to talk about this LinkedIn article or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much done. I mean, that's my biggest problem is it's a repetitive progression that just has no beginning or end. And it gets boring and annoying because it becomes this not an earworm, but an earwig.
Good one.
So yeah,
to-doom.
We mentioned previously this LinkedIn article where the man himself describes the writing and recording of Are You Jimmy Ray by Jimmy Ray. And it is a journey through self-delusion
A glimpse of
bad
madness.
grammar.
Adam, I will pay you every bit of money in my savings account if you can guess the first 2 words of this LinkedIn article, because you're not going to get it.
Well, in the beginning, that's too many words. I don't know. What is it?
John Lennon.
Oh, of course. I should have known that. A fellow rockabilly enthusiast.
Yeah, he not only starts it off with John Lennon's name, he also brings up Paul McCartney, all in the Beatles' psychedelic era, all within the first paragraph of his LinkedIn article about writing the song.
I figured he'd be more of like a skiffle guy, like a quarryman dude.
Oh, man, it made me so angry.
Yeah, so I have some highlights from this written down. Do you have anything else specific about this, Hayden, that you want to mention?
I have a whole lot about this article, but I'll let you take the reins.
All right, I'll get started here, and you can take over when you
Interject
need.
as I do.
First highlight: the title of the article is "Are You Jimmy Ray?" and then in parentheses, and if you are, why are you? As you mentioned, he immediately begins discussing and comparing himself to the Beatles. He mentions it. I found this in another source, but a guy named Conal Fitzpatrick, quote unquote, showed him the song. But it's pretty clear from what he says in this article that this Fitzpatrick guy wrote the song. You know,
Showed him the song? That's how he explains that someone wrote the song for him?
He goes-
Is that what I'm
he goes-
understanding? Okay.
quote, Con already had the chorus plus the "Who wants to know" response. Pretty clever.
So all you got to do is just slip old Jimmy Ray in there, and you got a hit song.
So here's another quote. Another idea we had, and why I like to compare my own recording career to that of the Beatles' experimental period, was to make the whole album sound like a radio broadcast out of the 1950s U.S. disc jockey radio station, which
Failed.
didn't happen. There's nothing about anything in the album that sounds like that. He then, this goes back to more evidence that I don't think he actually can really play guitar. Quote, I think I added some acoustic rhythm guitar, which that is in the song. There's acoustic rhythm guitar, but he says he thinks he added it, which means he didn't, or he played something really shitty and then they just didn't use it in the actual recording.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing him like doing his take and then being like, "That's great, Jimmy. Let's go get lunch," and then just immediately burning that section of the track.
While he's at Johnny Rockets getting his hamburger.
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, why don't you go down to the Johnny Rockets, get you a burger? We'll work on the mix here.
Yeah.
Put it on the company tab, son. I have a little quote here that I thought was interesting. He's talking about people asking him about the song, and he says, quote, I have been asked questions about it that surprised me. Surprising, considering the music press received the song as nothing more than a boneheaded piece of self-promotion. Well, if it's not that, Jimmy, what is it?
What does he think it is?
Sounds to me like he nailed it.
It sounds to me like they got it right, buddy.
So, apparently, from what I can tell, what he's written, his largest contribution to the actual writing of the song, writing, quote unquote, is this Fitzpatrick guy wanted him to start the song with a well in the style of Ray Charles. I'm assuming they mean from I Got a Woman, right? He starts that song with a long, drawn-out well. And, yeah, Jimmy's influence is like, no, I want to be more subtle and whispery, like a Gene Vincent. And then the quote said, had I realized then the difficulties this intro would later present when performing live vocal to the backing track, I never would have done it.
Backing track would get you.
Well, if you hadn't done that, Jimmy, we wouldn't be having this podcast right now. So
he does have some beefs with Mr. Fitzpatrick, though. He seemed very upset that Fitzpatrick had taken a quote-unquote party track from a previous song that he worked on and used it in Are You Jimmy Ray? I'm assuming he means like the background of people chattering and talking. But it really chapped Jimmy Ray's ass that he's got a...
He wanted original content only.
But yeah. he says that when they're filming the music video, that the music video director didn't have the version with the party track in it, so they didn't hire like a whole bunch of extras for a party. Jimmy Ray says, I didn't have any friends in the U.S. at the time, and I didn't know anybody, so he couldn't get a party going immediately.
But now he can get a USA party going, drop of the hat.
If he needs a whole bunch of people to film a party scene for a music video, he just snaps his fingers.
Anywhere in the United States. Small country.
Especially Miami.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, Josh, that at some point in this article he starts referring to the song in acronym form?
Yes, C-U-J-R.
Or R-U-J-R.
R-U-J-R, excuse me, yes.
You know, you write enough set list opening for the Backstreet Boys, you go with the shorthand.
So the last thing I want to say about the article is, and I kind of briefly alluded to it earlier, he talks about the co-writing splits between Fitzpatrick and himself. And so here's the quote. At the close of the session one day, Fitzpatrick turned to me and asked, so what do you think about the splits for this one, Jim? I don't know. What do you think? Well, what about 75-25% in my favor, and then you take the lion's share of I Got Rolled, which, if you remember, is his third record that did not even release in the U.S. He says, oh, yeah, sure, thinking and smirking to myself. You fucked yourself, Fitzpatrick. Because he didn't think this was going to be the single at the time, apparently. So that was sorted. And then when I went to my publisher about this, he looked like shit was about to come out of his mouth and said, don't negotiate any more splits, Jim. Leave that to us.
Jim, you really screwed up this time, Jim. Classic Jim, really.
You know, he was only 22. You know, stars in his eyes.
Or 28. He might have been 28.
Who really knows?
I mean, really, what that means...
Who cares?
So, I mean, a lot... Morrow, you might know, and Hayden, you probably know a little bit too, but, you know, he's talking about the publishing rights of the song. So, doing a little quick math, when a song gets played... and tracked and compensated for, half of it is for the recording itself, and then the other half is the publishing, which is like the actual song. So Jimmy Ray got 25% of 50% because, you know, as an unknown artist, there's zero chance he had a contract where he owned any of the recording rights. So he's making an eighth of whatever revenue was generated from the airplay of this song. And, of course, you know, after paying managers and agents and other shit, probably still, you know, a recording contract usually has a loan to the recording company to make it.
So I was this is assuming that he ever... I mean, I'm sure he paid off his Red Balance, but
yeah, eventually.
It probably took a lot of weeks on the radio to do that.
But he's probably, over the course of the airplay of this song is making less than 10% of the actual revenue generated from the song itself, which is
Sounds about right.
Which is hilarious, and it's probably why he's trying real hard to stage his comeback here
For the last 25 years.
for the last 25 years.
I know that we're running short on time here, but I have to call out the comment section of this article. It's like, just like as any other, modern gentleman does, I immediately scroll down to the comment section of this article to see what's going on down
To
here.
the comments.
And not much the answer is not much, but what is going on is kind of interesting. We've got a total of 5 LinkedIn likes on this article. Okay, 5 likes. Only 2 of those likes are people that even have profile pictures. So the other 3 seem like bots. So we've got 2 individuals that have liked this article, one of which felt compelled to comment. Are you reading this article? Who wants to know? Ha! But seriously, yes I am. What a wonderful tale of the workings behind the scene. Thank you for sharing, JR, says Ryan King, Senior Program Manager at GSA Hong Kong.
What?
Yeah, and we also have Fabrice Bouillard, who appears to be like a French economist of some renown. He's like got clips of himself like speaking on French television and stuff.
So are you saying Jimmy Ray might be huge in Europe and China?
I'm saying that Jimmy, for some reason, these 2 entrepreneurs with like obvious like connections read this article and enjoyed it, which is really confusing.
They got bored in the afternoon and sat down with their coffee and were like, I wonder what would be funny on LinkedIn today.
I mean, how bored? I mean, seriously.
There's a whole lot of stuff you can do on the internet before you get to that.
We've all just been through quarantine in our respective cities and have reached the peak of boredom of working at home and being in quarantine, and never in a million years would this be what I resorted to.
I mean, this could be getting play on European radio or something, and he could have heard it in his car and been like, I wonder what that guy's up to.
I would argue that the numbers based around these articles and on his Bandcamps would suggest otherwise.
I got a question for you. How many, we're in the era of Spotify. How many Spotify plays do you think this has?
Oh, that is an excellent question. You talk the single itself?
Yeah.
Are you JR?
Are you Jimmy Ray?
Okay, are you JR? I see.
Are you? I see that you're going to the.
I'm an Amazon guy now. I'm an acronym guy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, I would say that I don't know about for the Are You Jimmy Ray, but I would say I at least doubled the amount of plays for the rest of the album when I listened to it this morning on Spotify.
Do you have it pulled up, Adam? Am I on the...
Yeah, I have the numbers for it, and I Got Rolled, which I think...
I Got Rolled is going to be well under 1 million.
Okay. Give me
a number? Okay, I'm going to... You Got Rolled, I'm going to go with like 475,000 plays.
I Got Rolled has 35,993 plays.
Oh, poor Jimmy.
Oh, man.
That's not enough. That doesn't buy many Johnny Rockets burgers.
Josh, you couldn't get him to 36. It's 35,993 right now. He's 7 away, man.
Well, he got a lot more YouTube views from me, I'll tell you that.
We've got to be somewhere in the 5-6 million range on RUJR, though.
That's pretty good. He is at 5 million.
Okay.
294,972. He's doing pretty good.
Does anybody know what the math, what that translates to for him in his pocket?
$6.
In his sweet greaser pocket?
I mean, so I think the average is like, if you take the number and you multiply it by 0.003, that's kind of what it comes out to, but his would be even lower.
So what'd you say, how many million?
Like 5.2.
Josh pulled his abacus out over here.
But that's not what's going to him, based on his contracts.
So that if using that 0.003, 2 zeros and a 3 or 3 zeros and a 3?
Yeah.
Okay, that equates to $15,600.
Which is probably being split by a lot of people.
Well, yeah. Again, he's again seeing an eighth of that at most.
Yeah, and who knows who has like the rights?
So what does that equate to? I want to know: is it enough to buy his own franchise of Johnny Rockets?
No,
that's $1,950.
Poor Jimmy, and that gets taxed, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean. So,
oh yeah.
Knock it down another 20%. What are we looking at?
The tax man.
$1,500.
That doesn't even pay for that
I
guitar
know,
he was holding in the video.
guitar's probably $3,000.
All right.
So the last thing we'll talk about is I think we may have mentioned a little bit is he did remake this song for his 2017 album. Remake loosely. It's called "Who Wants to Know," and it sort of has that 50s vibe that he purports to sort of project with his image. It definitely sounds like this song could have been played by Marvin Berry's band in the prom scene of Back to the Future, like it would have gone great after Earth Angel. And it's a decent arrangement and a decent song. He has the who wants to know, but there's no are you Jimmy Ray, are you Johnny Ray, all that shit. None of that's there. And so it has that style. And the videos I saw of him playing it, he thankfully has put down the guitar and is just fully doing vocals.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed about that song was that the guitar playing was the tones are relatively modern and decent and it's not good, but it's not atrocious.
Yeah,
the other thing.
He probably recorded at home with just normal sort of gear you can get at Sweetwater or the music store.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds much more authentic. Might be too generous of a word, but it has.
It sounds closer to JR's true original vision of this song.
This guy's saying that Elvis and Buddy Holly are his influences. This song is definitely more in that vein. But the thing that kills it for me is it has the worst sounding Casio synth strings in it you could possibly think of. Everything else about the production of the song is great. It's got good horns in it and stuff, but it really sounds like he went and bought a $200 used keyboard from a pawn shop and just hit the strings button and went to town on it.
I don't see a problem.
Well, that's all she wrote about Are You Jimmy Ray and Sir James Edwards.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to get a hamburger.
Is Johnny Rockets even still exist?
I don't know.
Is there a Johnny Rockets in Seattle?
Yeah.
Was there ever?
No, there's not.
It's just like Starbucks. There's one on every corner.
Actually, they don't. Well, the Starbucks are still boarded over. They're not allowed. They're not allowed to open their doors. They get smashed to pieces still. Just pretty awesome. So.
Well, it's been fun, fellas, to jabberjaw about a really stupid song, and here's to more.
Can we say jabberjaw in this day and age?
It's nearly 2021.
I'm just spitballing my podcast host vocabulary here. All right, we'll see what happens.
Much like JR's social media, I can't wait to see the likes and comments flow in for this podcast episode.
It's gonna be great. This Song Sucks is brought to you by The Alabama Take. Follow us on Instagram at This Song Sucks Pod and on Twitter at SucksPod. You can also find us on the Alabama Take Facebook page. Comments, hate mail, and song suggestions for future shows can be sent to thisSongSucksPod@gmail.com.